Today, as some of you know, is the 200th birthday of Charles Darwin and Abraham Lincoln. It's an amazing day. They were both born on February 12th, 1809. Momentous day, 200 years. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's a fairly obvious statement. But anyway, two of the greatest guys, and if you're interested in reason and sense and logic, two of our heroes, if you will, right? And accomplished great things, and they both changed the world. All right, so we talked about Abraham Lincoln a little bit earlier on the show. Let's talk about Darwin now. Unfortunately, in these 200 years, we still haven't wisened up a lot. Now, of course, he published The Origin of his Species 150 years ago, 1859. So exactly 150 years ago, he came out with the book. So in that 150 years, what have we learned? Now, all the scientists in the world agree that natural selection is correct. And it is not, it's called the theory of evolution, but that's just a scientific term. It doesn't mean that it's a wild hypothesis. And scientists almost all agree that it is as close to a fact as we can get. Like the theory of gravity. You could think that it's a theory, but I guarantee you step off a building and you're going to realize the theory of gravity is a fact. Okay, so the theory of evolution is similar, but unfortunately, that has apparently not seeped down to everybody yet. Pew Research Center did a poll of Americans, and it is really disheartening. Only 26% of Americans say that life evolved solely through the processes such as natural selection, whereas a whopping 63% of Americans believe that humans and other animals have either always existed in their present form or have evolved over time under the guidance of a supreme being. So not natural selection, hey, the strong survive, or pollution leads white butterflies to become black butterflies. No. God goes, you know what, I know pollution came around here, and the butterflies would be better off if they were black, and they could hide better from predators, but you know what, I'm going to make that happen. Boom. White butterflies turn into black butterflies. Go. Okay. And that or they think we were all completely formed like this. God was like, owl, go, turn your neck around, you can do that. Good. That's a nice little trick. Okay. Humans, boom, do this. Right? Now, I know some of you are religious, and I love you. And if you think that God has a role to play in all this, I don't think that's an outrageous statement, right? But you got to believe in natural selection. And if you say, hey, God directed natural selection, I might not agree with you, but I'm actually agnostic. I'm not really sure, right? But you can't deny the facts. That's the thing. You can't say that it didn't happen or it doesn't happen. It does happen. And in fact, it happens every day, and it happens in front of our eyes. We document it over and over and over again. So if you believe in God, and like I said, that's a perfectly legitimate belief to have. I don't think it's, in my opinion, I don't think it's legitimate to base it on the texts that we have, whether it's the Bible or the Quran, Talmud, etc., because those texts are not rational at all, and historically not viable, if you ask me, as far as whether they are factual or not. But if you believe in a higher consciousness, in whatever you happen to call God, okay, I hear you, I really do, and I'm not trying to be patronizing or anything like that. I haven't solved the riddles of the universe either, okay? But you got to come up with a theory that drives that belief with natural selection, because natural selection is a fact. It's been 150 years since he published the book. For the love of God and Darwin, let's get beyond it, okay? All right, now one final thing about Darwin that's funny. His last book, so he writes these incredibly important books, Origin of Species, and then The Descent of Man and Selection in Relation to Sex, The Expression of Emotions in Man and Animals, etc. These are all groundbreaking, right? His last book, he's got to finish it before he passes away. It's very important. He examined earthworms and their effect on soil. See, Charles, that's where I would have brought it down a gear. And I'd be like, you know what? I came up with natural selection and the whole idea of evolution. That's pretty good. I'm going to take a load off. I'm going to relax in my later years, enjoy retirement. But no, and people like this are driven. So it's like, I got to write this thing about earthworms. Just give me a second here, man. They really affect the soil. You don't understand. earthworms. And his wife must have been like, Charlie, can we take a break here? Can we go on vacation or something? Can you lay down a book on earthworms? He's like, no, you don't understand. This one's going to change the world. No, dude, you already changed the world. Okay, it was the earlier books. Now, I don't want to minimize it. I'm sure that book was very important. But, Charlie, you've done enough. You've done more than you know, right? So today, I would imagine for most of TYT Nation, was a great day, 200th birthday of Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin.